Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In case you're new here, my name is Kim. This is Core Union. I want to talk today about how important it is that you forgive yourself and that you stop blaming yourself and you stop getting down on yourself, frustrated, impatient. Because when you mix that energy along with trying to manifest things, you oftentimes will get the opposite results because you're coming from a place of beating yourself up. So if you're in that energy with yourself, internally, then the people in your reality have to reflect that back to you. Unless you have a very deep story of being loved very deeply by somebody, and then you will be loved and supported through that kind of situation. Does that make sense? I want to talk about a specific experience that I had manifesting with my mirror soul because there was a little bit of something that I was still holding on to with this particular experience. It was very natural. It wasn't forced. And that's something that I actually want to bring up. Actually, I might even mention something not related to SP stuff, related to one of my clients who just told me she won $1 million. And no joke, this is actually something I'm inspired to talk about in this video too. Being very natural and genuine when you are doing your inner work to me is important. In the beginning, it might feel like you're being fake and you might actually have somewhat of a feeling of, I'm lying to myself. You have maybe imposter syndrome a little bit, but persist through that because I promise you, if you drop the bad 3D habits that we always talk about, which I'm not going to get into in this video because I'm actually kind of getting tired of hearing myself say it, but it is important that you drop those bad habits and instead remain focused in being the version of you in the relationship that you want to be in. Because from my perspective, who you love loves you. It's really that simple, point blank, black and white. But if you're holding on to guilt, shame, frustration, the old story, the old version of you, then you are actually not living from the end. Your mirror soul has no choice but to reflect that back because everything that's going on within you is going on within them too. Instantly, instantaneously. If you want, look at the video that I did, just a very short and sweet video I did on my day off, I don't know, a week or so ago about quantum entanglement and using that as an analogy of when you shift into blame, then your person shifts into blame. And whether it's blaming you or blaming themselves, either way, it's not good because it's not harmonious. But I do want to talk about something specifically that happened very naturally to me. I wasn't forcing anything, but it was just through persisting. I'm not going to give any private details, obviously, about me and my relationship. I don't even like to talk about anything really private in detail, but I share as much that I feel I'm comfortable sharing and that I know is also okay to share because I respect myself, I respect my relationships, I respect my manifestations, and of course, I respect all of my divine messengers in my reality. Okay, so before I get further into this, please do like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel if you love my content. If you want me to be your coach in manifesting your specific person back or improving a relationship with them, please do email me a short description to kim@coreunion.com and then book your session or package with me at my website, coreunion.com. And then we will get back to you with my next available session after you've done that. So I had gone through something in the 3D where there was some, let's call it upheaval of old story stuff coming up, like in other words, of fears about abandonment, rejection, or whatever the story was, of fear of the closeness and the depth of not wanting separation to happen again, regardless, because that's not actually what it was, but I'm just giving you examples. Anyway, me and my mirror soul were not communicating. And that was okay because I knew that when that happens, I need to go within and I need to basically, from my perspective, I'm going to use the word heal, even though you guys get all up in arms when people talk about healing, because healing doesn't have to take long. It's just like if you stub your toe, are you going to go running the next day for like 10 miles? No, you're going to maybe elevate it, put some ice on it, and let it heal before you run again. So healing does not have to take long. But anyway, it's not a limiting belief. You want to learn how to release and let go quickly and efficiently your old core wounds, that because that's the programming that causes all of the discord and disharmony between you and all of your divine messengers in your reality. So anyway, when there is upheaval, if you're watching this video, then I'm just telling you like it is. If you're the one watching this video, there was some upheaval that came up of your core wounds. It is your responsibility and your responsibility alone to handle things, to release, let go, to heal it over, to see the highest and best in the two of you guys. And so blaming yourself and shaming yourself, or blaming the other person and shaming them, is not the energy. You have to actually step out of that energy, and you have to be in harmony with the two of you guys. So you also have to see that everything is equal between the two of you guys. The love, as deeply as you feel it, you have to see that they love you as deeply. You don't want to be coming at something thinking, I'm the only one who feels this. I'm the only one who loves them. I'm the only one that cares. They this, they that, they this, they that. They said this, they said that. None of that effing BS matters. So you have to learn how to say F all that. That isn't my reality. That is not us. That's not who we are. And a key also is to trust in yourself, trust the God within you, trust your heart and soul, and not to keep questioning whether your inner work is working or not, just because bits and pieces of your old story comes up. This is a good thing. This is going to ensure the longevity of your life together with your SP, because if this doesn't come up, you are not actually letting it go. You're suppressing things down. What does your mirror have to reflect back to you? So anyway, the experience that I want to talk about is this. So I'm just naturally doing the inner work like I described for all of you guys, right? One evening, so this was interesting because I'll talk a little bit about signs also and what I do when I see signs. I have like really incredible and amazing signs. So I'm sitting here doing, the deeper inner work. I looked down at my phone one night, and the wallpaper, the screensaver, literally changes itself without me doing anything. I look at my phone, I unlock it, it literally shifts from a screensaver of Bella to me and my Mirasol Hana. So I just laughed, and in that moment, what I did was I tripled down on the togetherness and the happiness and the strength and the courage that we have for each other and the support that we have for each other and the depth of the love, and how we're both so incredibly grateful that we hung on to each other, that we didn't allow anything to pull us apart, regardless of anything in the 3D. That's kind of the energy I go into. So I claim our love together in those moments. I don't look at it and say, oh, that's amazing. Awesome. My inner work is working and it's going to happen, because then I'm still not actually being and living from the wife, being in that energy of the togetherness, the energy of the loving relationship. So, anyway, that evening that happened. I continued to double, triple down. Then I had a little bit of something come up. I was getting ready to take a shower. I suddenly imagined all of these things that I needed and wanted to hear Hannah say to me. Like it was just natural. It was like a flood that came into me. I allowed myself to kind of breathe and feel it coming in and feel the love, feel the depth of it. And then I basically said to higher self, God, source, the I amness, whatever you want to label God. I just said to myself, I'm ready for my true love now. Thank you. And then I jumped in the shower. I put on some music, dancing in the shower, listening to music, feeling love. And out of nowhere, I have a sudden memory of an ex of mine that, even though they did try to in the 3D destroy me, like really on every level, I already went through forgiving them, but I never took responsibility for the parts that I caused, the parts that I created, how I actually hurt them, the things that I said and did to them. I didn't own that part of it. I stuffed that down. I wasn't even aware of it. So, like, literally out of nowhere, that person came into my head, and I started crying. I shut the music off and I started crying, and I kind of held myself, And I imagined holding them and saying, I'm so sorry. And I went into this deep forgiveness of myself and allowing myself to really own it and take responsibility and apologize to them and kind of do almost a form of ho'oponopono. I cried. I held my ex, not in a way of wanting to be with them, but in a way of saying, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And then hearing them say, I do forgive you and I'm sorry too. And it was just very deep and heartfelt. Then I just went to sleep. I listened to my own, recordings of things of between me and my Marisol. I fell asleep in their arms, us cuddling and holding each other. I woke up in the morning. I felt amazing. At the end of the day, I was getting ready to go for a walk. Again, so I wake up in the morning, I do my inner work, I tap into God, universe, source, I tap into my highest self, I focus on health, love, support, being, putting wonderful value into the world, things around my clients, having inner conversations with all the divine messengers in my reality, and then having a beautiful morning basically in my imagination, which is real and creative with my mirror soul. So anyway, the end of the day, I go out and I'm just feeling good. There's a feeling of completeness, whole. I'm not waiting for anything. I'm not waiting. I'm not in that energy of waiting. I just feel good. And I'm going to go take care of my body. I'm going to go take care of my mind. I'm going to go walk around, go for a nice walk in the park. And when I do that, I typically listen to things that are in alignment with all the things that are manifesting. But I step in the car and all of a sudden, the moment I looked down at my phone, like it was like magical. All of a sudden, so we're communicating, and then we start talking on the phone, and then we're on the phone for 4 hours, and everything that I had naturally, it wasn't forced. I naturally that night before, because I was ready that night before, all the things that I was just suddenly it was flooding me, all the things that I naturally wanted to hear them say they literally said to me. It was exactly almost word for word. So the reason why I want to share this was that you want to make this, you want to be authentic and you want to be genuine about it. You don't want to try to force things. Because when you try to force things and manipulate things, you're actually not living from the end of being empowered. And you want to release and let go of all blame, shame, and guilt of for yourself and for your person. And if you're saying while you're listening to my video, but they did this bit, they did that, they were reflecting you. They were reflecting you. They are your divine messenger. So you can't blame them anymore. Well, then they came back and everything was good. And all of a sudden, then they left again. That's because something within you went into protection mode again. Maybe you were ready for them to leave again. Maybe you were fearful that you still aren't being prioritized, still not being chosen because you still are seeing them in that light. Stop seeing them in that light and stop seeing yourself in that light. Forgive yourself, forgive anyone and anything that you think caused harm to you and get back in your power and your love for yourself. The last thing I want to talk about is my client that manifested $1 million because this was something that she did very naturally. So we were talking, it was probably last week. And she's manifesting things with her mirror soul with me. But so we stopped talking for a second. She goes, Can I ask you something? And I said, Yes. She goes, I want to know if this was a manifestation. I said, If it's an experience, it was a manifestation. And she says, Okay. So wasn't expecting this at all. This was great. So she says, Well, remember when the Powerball was $750 million? I said, Yeah. And she said, Well, I was at work the before the drawing came out and I was making a list. I was calculating after the $750 million. Okay, I would clear this after taxes. And then I was deciding I want to pay this off. She had $100,000 student loan. I want to have enough set aside for my 401k. I want to be able to invest. But I also want to give these people in my life, family and friends or family and whomever, some money because I'm very generous and I love giving. I said, okay. And she said, so I was making a list and one of my coworkers said, what are you doing? And she said, I'm making a list because when I win the Powerball tonight, I'm making a list of all the people that I want to give money to. And the coworker was like, okay, whatever, rolled her eyes or whatever. So next day comes out, the Powerball comes out. She didn't win. But then she went and she played a scratch ticket And so this was so funny. She goes, I won $1 million. I was like, awesome. And she goes, was that a manifestation? I was like, of course it was a manifestation. How did that happen? Because she was just so naturally planning. It wasn't like, it wasn't trying to manipulate anything. It wasn't saying, it was just so natural. So this is what manifestation is all about. Okay. A lot of you guys come on after I do specific person videos and you get a little annoyed. And in the comments, you're like, you're all about SP, but what about finances and money? Because I'm going through this, I'm going through that. But I always clearly state that you're embodying the version of you that has the wealth, the health, the security, the relationships. Okay. It's all the same. You have to live from the end. You have to look at what your old limiting beliefs are and just flip them around and change the script, change the story, and then live from being that version of you. But don't try to manipulate and change things in your 3D reality. Don't constantly seek for evidence because as we all know, and I said I'm not going to actually get into this part, so I won't. I'm going to stop myself now. But your reality is always going to reflect back to you instantaneously who you are being. When I say instantaneously, just because something comes up that's going against what you're manifesting doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It just means that this thing here is part of your old programming and it's coming up so you can release it and let it go. So don't hold on to it and grab onto it again. I did a live stream video couple years ago. I just talked about this with one of my clients, so now it's fresh in my head. I'll talk about this. But one of my live stream videos, I was talking about the bucket and how if you have, let's say, a clear vessel instead of a bucket, you have a clear vessel and it has some gunk at the bottom of it settled in there. If that gunk, dirt, represents your old core wounds, old stories, limiting beliefs, right? And now you come into wanting to consciously create and deliberately manifest better for yourself in your reality and all the people in your reality. So now you start to do your inner work, and that's like pouring water into the bucket and you're really pouring it in. So what happens? The water is filling up the bucket and the dirt, you're seeing a mix of both, the dirt and the water. When you're doing your inner work, you see a little bit of both, right? So the dirt is rising up. And then in your reality, you get a taste of the old. That's basically like the dirt going over the rim of the bucket or the vessel. Let it go, let it spill over. Essentially, when you just let it go, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. And then you are the container, you're clear. Then you have all of this goodness within you that's clear and no more of the old wounds. If you react to it and then identify with it and then keep frustrated on it and then get back in the old story, that's essentially what you're doing. Is it's like it spills over and then you go out and you're collecting because you're observing and you're living from the old story. You're essentially taking all that spillover that was your old wounds, you're identifying, you're grabbing, you're holding on to it, you're pouring it back into your bucket. That's what happens a lot of times when you guys are experiencing a mix of hot and cold, a mix of new, then old, then new, then old. It's because it's coming out so you can let it go. Just let it go, release it. Okay. Anyway, I know that this video was of some value. Please do comment down below that you are going to let go of the old version of you and your specific person. You're going to allow yourself to be happy in a loving relationship with them. Reach out to me if you need me. I love you so much. Have an amazing day.
Nothing can come, nothing can come, nothing can come between us.